Now we're back. I'm going to do some balsa strips to put in as the wing ribs, ladders, whatever you want to call them. This is a little tool that I've been using since 1978. You know, that's a pretty old tool. It's a balsa stripper is what it is. By adjusting the screw on the side, you can do different widths. I used it a whole lot with when I was building model airplanes. Now I'm using it building that model Pinewood Derby cars. Set ever what size that you want to strip the balsa, and it'll repeat exactly the same sizes. Cut a few of these off to use as wing ribs for the Pinewood Derby car or Ultra Ligh. That should be more than plenty. They'll go on another car if they're not used. And what I'm going to do is just square that up just a little bit and mark my distance to cut. Always try to cut a little bit oversized and sand it down to get a snug fit. It's another tool that I used from the model airplane days. It's called a razor saw. This is my favorite, and I have two other sizes. Those can be bought from hobby supply stores. That one turned out just to be a perfect fit. Want to make sure you got a little bit showing on each side. That's 1/4 inch balsa. Fits in there just like what you want. And we glue them in position. I usually do one at a time to get it shaped. This is also bought in a model airplane distributor shop. Sanding block. Been using this probably since 1978 also. There's the first one in place. I'm going to go ahead and do all the others off camera. Here's the rest of the ribs, ladders, whichever you want to call them. They're all glued in now, and I'm just going to do the final sand on top of them to flatten them out of the body. And the bottom. And here's that complete. And we're going to lay this body back on the block to see if we remain true. Here it is. It lays perfectly flat on the block still after the construction. Okay, we're going to shut the camera off and come back with a little demonstration on what's also included in the Ultra Ligh is the slide guides. Zero friction slide guides. Now back on camera for a demonstration installing the slide guides. This is something I'd like to mention at this time. The Ultra Ligh body that I sell is not intended for people to buy and try to race in a Pinewood Derby race with the Scouts. This is designed for Ligh racing, because in the Scout racing the slide guides would probably not be considered legal. But in Ligh races, all the Lighs that I know of do allow the installation of the slide guides. The one on the right side of the car has already been installed, ready to sand smooth. The second one, I fit it to the side of the car body, draw a line on the side for the glue lines, apply the glue. This material is, I sell it on my site. It's called Zero Friction Slide Guide. Apply the glue up to the pencil line. I've taken a sanding block and roughed up the material so it'll adhere to the side of the car body better. Place an axle in the pre-drilled hole. Put it up to the side of the car body. Position it in position and hold down on it so the glue sets up. Pressing to the slide guide to the body. And you take a pair of scissors. Trim off the excess there. Pull out your axle. It's got a little bit more material on the side than I wanted, but taking my razor saw, now let's don't do that because you might not have one. Let's do it the alternative way. It takes just a little bit longer. Taking a sanding block you can purchase. This is a Great Plains product. It's 11 inches long. You can temporarily glue the sandpaper to the block and remove it after the sandpaper's wore out. Sand across where the slide guide material is. Comes off fairly quickly. Sand it down flush to the body. Do the other side. There it's down even with the body on the top. Do the same to the bottom. There it's flush and smooth. And then I just take a little bit of balsa. Any thickness will work. Put a little bit of material or a little bit of glue in front. Place the balsa on the side up against the slide guide. Turn it on the side. Take your X-Acto blade, scribe it, break it off. Put it on the other side. Place the balsa up against the slide guide. Trim off the excess balsa. Scribe it, break it off. Take your sanding block. Sand the top and the bottom down flush with the top of the car body. That's been done. And then fit this into the side of the car body and the slide guide. There that is pre-shaped. And I take a piece of 100 grit sandpaper. Don't worry about getting on top of the slide guide material because we're going to sand that and polish that out to a mere finish. Alright, now we take a little bit of the thin CA glue. This helps fill it in and blend the material into the side of the car body. Just we got a little bit. Want to be careful and don't get that in your axle holes, because it certainly will ruin them. Then I put a second coat of CA glue on. This is sealing the balsa and filling in the sanding dust, smoothing it into the car body. The way I position this slide guide material on the side of the car, it's going to allow me to put fenders on this car. There's just a little bit of material in front that you'll be able to install your fenders on the side. So keep that in mind when you position the slide guide on the side of your car. That's blended in real well. That's the front slide guide put in position. I'm going to get the front slide guide insert shaped, and I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. Now we're ready to do the dominant front wheel with the slide guide material. Cut your piece. Your width that's about a ½ an inch wide. Place that in your axle hole so you can mark where you're going to cut out the recess to install your slide guide. Pencil. Well, let's use this. Can't find my lead pencil. We'll just use this pen. And I take some kind of saw. This is my razor saw. Cut that down a little bit about the depth that you want to put the insert in. I'm going the same thickness as the slide guide material through experience. I know this works pretty well. This is the way I would do all my cars. Then take your X-Acto blade and trim that area out to the depth of your slide guide material. And I take my wood rasp to flatten it out and get it to the proper depth. And where'd it go? Here it is. The axle through the slide guide material, I check the depth to see if it's where I want it. I put a straight edge up, and that's just exactly where I want it. It's the depth of the slide guide material. That's what I use on the front of my cars. Very carefully put a little bit of Loctite on each side of the axle hole. And take your axle and your material, press your axle in the hole, and push in on the slide guide material. Hold it against the body while the glue sets up, cures. And pull your axle out. And then to secure that in there even better, just sand over the slide guide material and the wood. And that sanding dust will go down in the little gap on each side of the slide guide material, and just very carefully take a little bit of Loctite. That will seal that dust in there and fill that hole, and also help hold the slide guide in place. And you can just take a pair of scissors, trim off that excess, sand it down even to the body with your sanding block. There's flush on the top. Do the same thing on the bottom. Don't be concerned about sanding over the top of the slide guide material, because it will sand and buff right out. Let me get some sanding material and we'll come back here and I'll show you how we buff it out. Now we're back on camera. We're going to polish out those slide guides. Again, I'm not endorsing or recommending that these cars be purchased for Boy Scout racing, Cub Scout racing, whichever we call it. Anyway, this is a piece of 600 grit sandpaper. It's probably, it's an inch wide, and I just fold it. We'll do the rear here. When you get ready to paint your car, you need to get you some painter's tape and cover the axle hole so you don't spray paint on where you're polished. I always polish mine last after the car's painted, but I needed to demonstrate how this will shine up. So I'm doing it prior to painting the car, because it will need to be sanded and buffed out again after the car's painted to get all the adhesives off of the paint. Just about 3 times, like so, about that long with each grit. That's the 600. Then we go to the 1000 grit. Cut it about a ½ inch wide. Fold it. And we'll do it about 3 times. For about so long. Don't take long. There's once on each side of the folded ½ inch sandpaper. One more time will be the 3rd time on each side of the sandpaper. There's the 600, and then we go to the 2000. Cut a strip about a ½ inch wide. Fold it. We'll repeat as we've just done. 3 times on each side. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the last step. This is the wheel bore polishing compound that I sell. Place it on a paper napkin. I use Bounty paper towels. Put a little bit there. That's all it takes. Push in firmly, polish it.
Captain Jim, they both went 3 for 3. 3 for 3! Gary, you get your ticket. Gary, that's the ticket. Yeah. Everybody else, you hang tight, because we are kicking off an hour, almost an hour of commercial-free music, and Captain Jim has a special song for C.
I don't know whether you can pick that up on camera or not, but it's slick. There's the slide guide installed, polished. While it's on camera here, I'll just put a little bit more compound on the paper towel. It's super slick when you get done. It's actually even shiny, but you'll not be able to pick that up on camera. And if your wheel happens to touch this, it's zero friction slide guide. About the same equivalent as the axle or wheel running up against the axle head. This would allow you to run your spacing very tight with the wheel bore against the side of the body. Just daylight, that's all I run. Let's try that again up against the light. The shiny might pick up in the camera. So there's the slide guide installed.